What's going on, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be reviewing a trade from yesterday that we got over $1,500 profit on. So we're going to be kind of going over exactly what I saw and why I took the trade so you guys could get a better understanding and hopefully apply it to your own trades. So the trade we're going to be looking at is one that we took on QQQ, which was QQQ calls. And the reason why I took it, and actually let's first go over what I'm looking at over here. So this chart is NQ, and you guys may notice, oh, why aren't you looking at QQQ's chart? Now, NQ has overnight trading, and same way as ES and SPY correlated, same way goes with NQ and QQQ. So whenever we have these overnight levels, I kind of have more understanding of what's going on, more levels to mark down that we may not see on QQQ. Because if you guys take a look at QQQ's chart, you can see there isn't as much room as there is on something with NQ, for example, right? So what I like to do is I take a look at NQ, map out all of my levels, and there we have a much better understanding of the trades. So let's return back to where we were mapping out. So as you guys can see, what happened so far, and let's really quickly take a look at the alert as well. So you guys can see I said I was watching QQQ 315 calls at this fair value gap, which we're about to go over how to identify in a second. But you guys can see that we're seeing QQQ calls on watch. Okay, now you might look at this and say, you know, we have such strong selling coming downwards, and why would you look to take calls here and not just continue the trend, right? But this is what I see, right? So this zone right here, let me mark that down. This zone right here is our fair value gap, right? We have the high here and the low here, and we have a little imbalance right here that we want price to retrace back to. Okay, now you can see the first time we tested right here, we got a big green bounce. So what this means is that buyers are strong in that zone. It's not just a random zone. It means that, you know, there's buyers waiting for their orders to get filled again. All right. So when we see that price is coming back to that range, despite the fact that it's coming off a heavy downtrend, what I'm looking at exactly is right here. We get into that zone, right? We got our first confirmation candle, and the next candle after that is going to be where I'm kind of getting ready to take my trade. So we can see right here, we took our trade because we had our confirmation candle held, and we had our next candle open above the zone. So even though it's a red candle, right? Now what I'm looking at here is another thing that was very important for identifying this trade. You know, the first thing I saw was that we don't have any fair value gaps to the downside, right? So there isn't much more imbalances that we expect price to really retrace back to. So the downside range is kind of limited. Okay. However, to the upside, we can see fair value gap right here. Correct. So we can mark down one right there. And then we can see that we have another one right here. Right. But you guys get the point. There's a multiple that we can target to the upside. Okay. Compared to none on the downside. So I expect these imbalances to get filled again. So what I'm watching here is, if you guys take a look, we get that bounce. We get a green candle. Right. So it shows that buyers are still strong. They're still holding. And you guys can see I took that trade at 0.60 in that zone, and you guys can see, you know, the chart matches up exactly what we're looking at here. We have that same candle structure, and what we're waiting for is going to see how far we can get up, because we did keep in mind that we did come back up off of a pretty strong downtrend. So I don't know exactly how far we'll go with the fair value gaps and how much room we really have to the upside. But here what I'm looking at is trying to take out some profits to be careful. So you guys can see I started scaling out a bit earlier. Okay, now what you guys can see, the next candle, we get a pretty nice move up. This kind of confirms my thesis and tells me that, you know, buyers are still strong. There's nothing to worry about, and we just continue to push up and continues up higher. So that first fair value gap that I was talking about, we hit right here. So as we can see, that first fair value gap hit, correct? And at this point, it's already up 76% in profit, and our stop losses are already way deep into profits. And I did forget to mention this, the stop loss. So let's say we entered our trade right here. Okay, what I did was I kept my stop loss a little bit below the zone. My target is ultimately going to be this higher fair value gap, but I did want to take out profits here and in this one as well. So we're looking at about a 2 to 3.5 risk to reward ratio on this trade, right? And now once SPY starts, or QQQ already starts moving up, I'm able to move my stop loss up to break even. If I want to close it into profit, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do, okay? But as you can see, We pushed past that and we got way higher. We filled that fair value gap and we got up much higher. We pushed close to, I believe, 316% on those contracts. However, I didn't hold the full way. I closed right above this fair value gap right here. So all from that simple bounce right here off the fair value gap, we caught a pretty nice move to the upside. Now, the main focus of what I'm really trying to go over is the fact that people, you know, if you see this downtrend, people get scared and they don't realize that, you know, you don't want to just chase, because there's people that will take this and they'll say, oh, green candle is a pullback and I'll take it for a short, right? You got to kind of understand what's going on. You have to look left and see what kind of, you know, orders are waiting to get filled, what's going on really. So this is just as perfect of a trade as you can possibly get for me personally, because you have something like so much range to the upside and then you have very limited range to the downside. Now if it breaks, we just take that small loss and move on. We're not really risking much, so that's about as perfect as you can possibly get. Okay, and one more thing I really want to note, you guys can all see my screen. You know, it's very I don't have too much on it, right? I'm just trading the pure price action. There isn't much really going on. I just look at the candle action. I'm looking at a few things like supply and demand, fair value gaps, you know, liquidity, things like that. I'm not looking at anything much more with indicators and all of that. The simpler you keep it, the much easier it is going to be taking these trades, because you're not getting confused, right? I just see my fair value gap hit. We saw good buying on this candle. Second candle holds above. That was just good enough confirmation for me to already take that trade. Okay. And then one last thing I want to mention, because I know a few people would comment about it. This is the 5-minute time frame that I'm looking at on these charts. However, you are able to chart it out on any time frame. Since I was day trading, 5-minute was the best one at the current moment. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be going over more reviews and anything you guys want to see. So if you guys want to see anything specific, make sure to comment down below. And if you aren't already, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.